And
No,
I didn't want to say it.
you're
Be so
good.
wrong.
It's good. You're
Okay.
good. Okay,
Thank you.
ready?
I love you. Welcome to the Incoherent Fangirl,
Where we're both frantically trying to pack last minute for our trip
which is
tomorrow.
so unlike me. Usually I would be packing like the beginning of the week.
Yeah.
Who am I?
No, this is very on brand for me.
I'm Mandy of Pemberley.
And I'm Karin from Haven. Welcome back to the podcast, friends.
Welcome. Welcome, welcome.
In our timeline, it is May 1st. Tomorrow, Mandy will be here. I'm so excited.
Yes.
This is very exciting.
Oh.
And in y'all's timeline, it is May 9th. Happy Asian American Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander Heritage Month. There are so many names in that,
I know. I
but
didn't
I love
realize
it
that
so
they added
much.
an N because it used to be AAPI. And so I was like, oh God, wait a minute.
AANHPI Heritage
Yeah.
Month.
Yeah.
Welcome. It's very exciting. I put out a I like put out a newsletter for the first
That's when
time
I
in
saw the
several months.
NH. Yeah.
And I was like,
I was
"Oh,
like, wait.
I guess this is a good time." My last newsletter was on Lunar New Year, so it's perfect. Let's start on.
It feels like that was yesterday,
I know,
though, if we're
right?
honest.
But here we are.
So,
But it's May. It's freaking May.
yeah.
What the heck?
So weird.
hmm This week in fangirling, what'd you do, Mandy?
So I finished Summer in the City by Alex Astor. Just to recap, you have Elle who moved to New York City where she hates it. She went there, she would live there in college and hates it, had moved away, but has to come back because she's been given like the opportunity of a lifetime to write a screenplay that has to take place at these like iconic New York locations. And she finds out on one of her first nights there that her floor mate is this guy, this billionaire bachelor, Parker Warren, who she had like a hot makeout session with years ago. But the he like didn't like accuse her of being a gold digger, but he was like, "What do you want? What's gonna get me to take you? Like, how am I gonna get to take you home?" And he just thought she was like all of the other girls at that bar who wanted something. She's not. Now that she's back in the city, she's dealing with writer's block and pissed off about it and about him being down the hallway. And she has an interaction with him, and then she writes all night.
Mm.
So he needs he's about to go through this acquisition with his company, so he needs positive press, a beautiful girlfriend on his arm to create buzz around him, and she needs to tour the city and go to all of these spots that she's supposed to write for her screenplay. And so they are like, all right, we will fake date for the press, and I will get to, experience the city in a way that I didn't when I lived here. And I wish I could have seen my face throughout so much of this book because it was a lot of
hmm
uh, gags and I'm not made for billionaire romances. I don't feel like this is too much of a spoiler, but it's just like the absurdity of the situation. There's one scene where this coffee shop she loves going to stops making the blueberry scone that she loves. And so she's like, oh, that sucks. I friggin' loved the scone. I had one every day. Well, then like 3 days later, the scone is in the case again. And she's like, you guys decided to make it. No, this douchebag bought the entire franchise, like the entire company to make them put the blueberry scones back in. And I'm like, I know a lot of people will be like, oh, it's so romantic. I'm like, ugh, ugh. Sending her like, you can use my private jet. And she's like, the economy, or not the economy, the
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 environment.
environment. And then he's, well, I buy more carbon credits to offset. And she's like, it doesn't offset. That's not real. Like we try to humanize the billionaire.
I mean,
You're not
I
you're not a human if you're a billionaire. I'm
go into
sorry.
it,
Even
go into
her.
it, not like literally go into it like not. I have no delusions about real life billionaires.
Yeah.
Reading a billionaire romance is just, it's like, it doesn't bother me just because I'm like, it's fiction and I don't want to, and
Ugh.
I'm trying to escape.
It just pisses me off because I can't escape from that like loathing of the overconsumption, you know?
Mm.
I bought you these $9 million earrings because they made you smile. And she's like, I'm smiling because they were so ugly. Like, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Unless we're eating their liver at the end,
Or
like we're
they are
putting that
giving
liver on a
away
Blackstone grill, or
everything.
they're giving every dime of I don't even, because I don't want to spoil it, but at the end he's a human, but still it's the insane amount of wealth that has someone so out of touch with reality that I just can't, like, I want his liver on a plate. And he was like nice to her. He was a good book boyfriend, but like, I don't want that one. Everybody else can have that one. Um, I mean, it was cute, but I'm not cut out for billionaire romances.
That's fair.
I had a lot to do this week, but I just like would have something playing in the background. So I finished Vanderpump Villa. So it's Lisa Vanderpump is the owner of all of the Vanderpump Rules restaurants. And she expanded into the luxury hotel industry. They were in a medieval Italian castle, and the show followed the staff that worked there, who's sleeping with who's offended because this person made out with a guest. The Mormon wives came to visit. Some Olympians came to visit. Stassi Schroeder's family came to visit. It was the trash reality that I needed to dissociate from
Mm-hmm.
all of it, from
Mm-hmm.
everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was fine. I did take a little bit of a break and let the twins experience the cinematic masterpiece that is the 2005 Pride and Prejudice for their first time. And like at first we didn't have the captions on because I know, like, I'm not anti-captions at all, but for me they're distracting
Mm-hmm.
because I read a movie instead of watching it, and I prefer them not be on, but if someone needs them or wants them, we turn them on. They're talking in, old English for a lot of it. So one of them is like, I don't even know what they're saying. And so we turn on the captions, and by the end, both of their little Instagram like notes had like, I wish I had a Mr. Darcy. Oh, I wish I could be Elizabeth Bennet. I told you.
Mm-hmm.
I've been telling you for years. This is a defining moment in your life. Your first experience with Pride and Prejudice. Like,
Well,
they're Darcy girls, obviously.
who isn't?
I know. They're Matthew McFadden Darcy girls, though. If I showed them Colin Firth, they would be like, "Get that away from me." Uh, I listened to some of the Night Circus by Aaron Morgenstern. I don't really want to talk too much about it because it wouldn't be fair to the book. I've been really distracted this week, and while I've listened to a lot of it, I haven't like retained any of it. So I need a break, but I don't want to call it a DNF because like I know it's such a beloved book. I know that a lot of people love it. It's just a not right now for me. I couldn't give it the time it deserved.
Yeah.
I know I will love it when I go back to it. It gives the series that must not be named vibes, like the cozy feeling that you had when you read that book before She Who Must Not Be Named came out as trash. Because I think part of it is because the narrator is Jim Dale, he was
Mm.
my favorite that narrated. I didn't like Stephen Fry. I was a Jim Dale girly. And so like he does like different voices and accents so incredibly well that it is like you're in this like multicultural circus. But I could not tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's two people who were chosen as children to be in a game against each other at some point. And then there's other characters that are part of the circus, and that's it. And I'm like 70% in. So I'm gonna have to like
Yeah.
start over another
Sorry. Yeah.
time.
I've been there. I've been
Um,
there.
yeah, I spent $5 million this week on a new HVAC for my house, new tires, an oil change, a new mattress because my mattress was overdue for replacement, and a new couch from Costco, but not from Costco because it was $1,000 cheaper to get it from the place that Costco delivered it directly to. So all of that's coming next week. So I've been trying to coordinate getting a new air conditioner and getting my tires and my oil changed and
The timing, my
scheduling
God.
people to come, huh?
The timing.
I know. And then scheduling while I'm not here, people to come take the old couch and the old mattress so that
Yeah,
the new can be here, but not until like we don't want to not have a mattress
right,
or a couch. So like timing it perfectly when I'm about to leave.
right.
Oh, what is wrong with me?
Fun times.
Um,
Super fun.
and then today I don't really have a lot to say about it because I just start like literally I'm like two chapters in, but I started The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. I got a our ALC, I was gonna say ARC. Technically it's an ARC. I got an ALC from Libro, so I will be listening to that on the drive to the airport tomorrow.
Nice. Very nice.
Oh, and I also started Shield of Sparrow, Shield of Sparrows
Yeah, yeah. Devney
by
Perry.
Devney Perry, which I will be reading on the plane.
Yay. Very
And
fun.
I think that was my week.
Good week. Other
Oh,
than the
I
stress.
ba very, very barely started Finders Keepers by Sarah Adler because physically reading something this week was absolutely not happening with
Right.
all. And the twins moved back to their dad's this week.
Yeah.
And both of their cars were out of commission when he came back for various reasons. And and they had to be taken to and from school. Like I'm telling you, the world was out to get me last week or this past week. So,
Yeah. It's,
but
yeah.
I think that was my week.
Good week. Other than stress. Lots of
Yeah,
stress.
lots of stress. I think I'm gonna have an airplane cocktail.
I support that. I support
Yeah.
it.
What did you do this week?
I read Deep End by Ali Hazelwood, which we have talked about on the podcast in the past. So you have two Harvard?
Karin,
Stanford.
it's been over a month. Stanford
Stanford.
feels right.
Stanford. Sorry. I was like,
Yeah.
it's Harvard sounded wrong. And then I was like,
Yeah.
no, it's Stanford. So two
Yeah.
Stanford athletes. One is a diver, one is a swimmer. And Scarlett Vandermeer, who goes by Vandy,
Scar, Vandy. Yeah, that's it.
who is a diver at Stanford, and you have Lucas Bloomquist, who
It's
is
so hard to say.
I'm never gonna say it again. Who is a swimmer, like Olympic level swimmer, also at Stanford. He is her best friend Penny's ex-boyfriend, and Penn, one drunken night at a party is like, you two should sleep together because you have the same proclivities in the bedroom.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? But then also they're like, maybe. And it's Allie Hazelwood, so we know where that's going.
Yeah.
Then I
That
read
was a good one.
Quicksilver by Callie Hart, another one that we've already talked about on the podcast. Um, Again, I have no notes. I cannot remember the female main character's name.
Sarah Spain. That one I do
Saris.
remember.
Saris, that's right.
Yeah.
So you have Saris and Kingfisher, and she is not caught stealing, but she kind of, because of her brother, is caught
Yeah.
stealing and gets taken away to basically be murdered because of the said stealing. And when that happens, she pulls a sword out that does magical things, and out comes Kingfisher, and she ends up in like the fairy realm, and now they have to work together in order for her to create this thing in order to save the world, essentially. There's a lot more to it, but that's
Someone else stole that book for me, and I can't remember his name, but you know exactly who I'm talking about.
someone else stole the book from you. Wait, what?
Like the character stole the show.
Mm.
What's his name?
Um,
I don't want to
um,
spoil it
I
from
know
home.
exactly who you're talking about.
Yes,
Um,
thief of the whole thing.
yes, I agree. Yes, I was like, somebody stole. Yes, I understand what you're saying. I know who you're talking about. I cannot remember his name.
Carrion Swift.
There it is. Yes, yes,
Hilarious.
correct. Answer. Yes. Okay, next I read Up Close and Personal by Anna Holguin, which just came out on Tuesday, and I just talked to her yesterday on Instagram Live, and it was so much fun. This book is, you have Joe, who is this like Peloton-esque, Soul Cycle-esque spin instructor. Same
Oh
kind
yeah,
of
I remember
like,
this.
same kind of like exercise craze. It's not, it's like a combination of Peloton and SoulCycle and other things, not strictly based on that, but there is like a stationary bike that you can buy and like a tablet that's attached to it, and they can stream and all of that. So it's very similar. So Joe is the spin instructor. She's one of the two top instructors in Haven, which is the company, and she is kind of feeling in a rut, and she doesn't really know what's wrong. She just feels like nothing feels quite right. And at the same time, you have Silas, who is a journalist, and he is very jaded. I described him as like a professional negative Nancy. Because they call him like a part-time hater in the book. And so it's not so much that he's just like he hates things. It's like he wants to come at it from all sides and gather all the facts before he forms an opinion about it. And so when
Yeah.
his coworkers come in and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I finally got into the a class with Joe," and he's like, "What the hell are you talking? Like, why is this such a big deal?" And then because of that, he gets assigned an article to basically like interview Joe and write about kind of the whole how everything blew up and these semi famous people who are not like celebrities per se, but still, and not quite influencers. So somewhere in between, right? They're still in the public eye, kind of thing, but
Hmm.
they still have, that kind of um, prestige, if you will. And
Hmm.
so he engineers a meeting between himself and Joe, and they meet in a bar. And he kind of like has ulterior motives, obviously, because he's trying to get in her good graces, get this interview with her, and she's just like super competitive. And so he says something, and she's like, "Okay, bet." And so then it's this building of them, like he's interviewing her, and at the same time she is trying to like figure out how to tell her story through him because she has a lot that she wants to say. And
Yeah.
it's a romance. It's a rom-com. The banter between them is so delicious. And it's so good. I loved it so much. And the like references to just general millennial culture is so good. I loved it. I read The Strawberry Patch Pancake House by Laurie Gilmore, which is the fourth book in the Dream Harbor series. So this is the same series as like the Pumpkin Spice Cafe.
Hmm.
And so you have, I don't remember names. The female main character is struggling. She's like, I'm not sure I'm gonna make rent this month. I might lose my house, or I might lose my apartment because I've been late so many times and my landlord is like done with me. And then you have the male main character who is has come to Dream Harbor because he's just found out that he has a daughter and she's 5. And the mother of his daughter has just passed away in like a car accident.
Oh
And
my
so,
God, how traumatizing for this child all
right?
around.
And he didn't know this girl existed. She did,
Doesn't matter. Still trauma for the little girl.
no, I mean trauma, yes, but
Yeah.
like that's part of it too. So like he's never been
Yeah.
involved in her life. She now all of a sudden has to live with basically the stranger
This man, yeah.
who is, and like I mean, good for him. Like he is informed of this, and he's like, hey, by the way,
Taking charge. Yeah.
he's and he was living in like Paris and living out his like dreams of becoming like a Michelin star chef. And so, and he remembers the mother fondly, but they were never in like a relationship. It was kind of just like a, friends with benefits kind of situation. And then they went their own separate ways, and she never told him. And so he's like questioning, well, why did she never tell me? He's questioning all this, but he also wants to do right by this little girl because this is his daughter. And so he, big fancy, wants to be a Michelin star chef, is now in little small town Dream Harbor and is working as like the head cook at like this little diner, and is like, I don't know how to manage this because I've managed like big fancy restaurant kitchens in the
Yeah.
past. Also, I have to like find somebody to take care of my kid. And so the he ends up hiring the female main character as the live-in nanny. and we can see where this goes. It's a romance. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
forced proximity, found family, just the cutest little girl ever. Love her. So it's fun. It's, I think this entire series has been just like it's fun, like little dissociation from reality.
Yeah.
Nothing to write home about. I personally think that it's overhyped on social media, but I enjoy it nonetheless. So yeah, I read the Last Fenestra duology by Emily Thied. So this is This Vicious Grace and This Cursed Light, which it was a
Yay!
reread of This Vicious Grace, because I hadn't read it in quite some time.
Yeah.
And then I finished the duology. I kept meaning to, I just never did. And so now I finally have. So you have, good God, this is why I need to write
I
notes.
can't remember names of that series either. I
Yeah,
remember really liking that both of them.
it's really good. I really enjoyed it. So you have Alessa, who is,
Yeah.
she's got the gift from the gods, right? So she's supposed to be the Fenestra, which is somebody who amplifies her Fonte's power to save the country from this
Zombies, right? Kind
bit,
of.
kind of like this invasion from. Okay, so you have two gods who
Orcs.
have like a bet against each other, and like this one is the bad guy, and he's sending these people to like demons to fight the humans, and he's like humans are not able to like work together and blah 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 all of this, and this other god is like, no, JK, they can actually work together, and I'm going to prove it, and that's
Yeah.
why this is happening. Right. So Alessa is the Fenestra. Unfortunately, she is unable to channel her Fonte's powers. She keeps killing them. So after the third one is killed, um, she the people's faith in her is at an all-time low. She is then attacked by somebody who quite possibly was supposed to be one of her guards, and she realizes, oh shit, like I'm not safe
I'm
here.
dead.
I'm
I
not
might be
safe. So
dead.
she goes off and hires her own like bodyguard,
Hot
right?
bodyguard.
Super bodyguard. So she hires Dante, and he's supposed to he's we love Dante. And he is beholden only to her. And so she's like, okay, at least I've got him to keep me safe because I can't trust the guards, right?
Mhm.
And he's like, listen, the last three times you've tried this, it hasn't worked. So maybe shuck tradition and do something different. And so she's like, you know what?
Yeah.
You're right. And so they do it differently. And it's a about her trying to figure out how to manage her powers and also manage the attraction that she has with her bodyguard, who may or may not be something that they have that she's not supposed to be attracted to. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's the best way of describing it. It's so good. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah, it really was
It's really
good.
good. Then I read The Other March Sisters by Linda Epstein, Ali Malinenko, and Liz Parker. So this is the March Sisters is Little Women, right? So
Yes.
this is and Little Women is told. I've never read Little Women, but it's told from the perspective
My
of
God, it's
one,
been 100 years.
but it's only told from one of the sisters' POV, right? Because there's four of
Either
them.
one or two. It's either one or two.
Yeah. So in
There
this
are
book,
two like main
yeah, I think you're right.
focuses though.
I
Yeah.
think, yeah. And so in this book,
Let me look it up.
it's the three sisters that are not the main protagonists of Little Women. And they get
Yeah.
to tell their story from their POV, because the book starts out like, you may have heard this story before, but it's been told from such and such as point of view, and
Hmm.
have they have it wrong, right? Because
Yeah.
and so I thought it was really fun. It's
So
yeah.
it's original is third person,
Hmm.
but it focuses most
Mostly
on Joe and Amy, I think.
that
So yeah.
I don't know. I've
I
never read Little
as
Women.
some I read it as a child and I
Yeah.
watched one of the movies
Yeah.
like
I
over
watched the movie
Christmas,
too,
I
and it's
think.
been a while. But the
Yeah.
point is, this is the ones that it doesn't focus. I think it's
Yeah, yeah, as
the three
it
sisters
makes
that it doesn't.
perfect sense
Yeah.
when you say like
Yeah,
When you think of Little Women as someone who's read it, even though it's been years ago, you immediately go Jo March. She's
right.
the sister. She's
She's
the
the
one.
sister. And it's told through her, even though like it's third person, it's told through her lens, right?
She's the no.
Not, well,
It's in everybody's heads. It's
mm-hmm.
in everybody's heads.
But
It knows
she's like the
the narrator
focus of
knows.
the story.
She's like, yeah. It's like
Yeah.
I don't know how to. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not her POV. It's not just following her, but it's clear she's the main focus.
Right. Right.
So
So
when someone
this,
says there's a book about the other
the
March
other
sisters, you're
March
like, that
sisters,
makes
yeah.
sense. That
And this
makes
one
so
is in,
total sense.
so this one is in first person from each, from three of the sisters. So each sister gets their own kind of part in the book, and
Mhm.
you kind of, I assume you see the events of Little Women, but from their POVs, and so they kind of get to tell their story. And there are
Tell
bits
their
and pieces of
story.
it that are new because it's different from like
Yeah,
the original
it's
story.
perspective you didn't
Yeah,
get.
I thought it was really fun. As somebody who hasn't read Little Women, I thought it was really
You
fun. And you,
should. It is really
I
good,
do
though.
mean to. I do mean to. It just
Read it with
was,
your kid.
yeah, it was just it. Yeah, I had a weird childhood, but
Yeah.
I thought it was really fun, and it does make me want to like move Little Women up my list
Mm.
to read sooner.
It's a
Um,
quick one.
yeah, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. And
Yes.
then I read One for My Enemy by Olivia Blake. Oh, Olivia Blake has a habit of having books that have many characters, and
Yeah.
I am easily
She
confused.
loves an ensemble.
She does, and it's done well. Like I know that I was kind of lackluster when it came to the Atlas 6, but this one was really really fun. It was really good. Fun is not a great word because there's lots of
No, you're
death and
it's
murder,
never gonna be a
but you know
fun
what I mean.
time. Yeah.
So this is it's very, I don't know if this was meant to be like a Romeo and Juliet kind of retelling, reimagining, but it gives those kind of vibes because you've got two like witch families and they are rivals. They don't interact with each other at all because of something that happened like several years ago with like the patriarch of this family and the matriarch of this family. Um, so yeah. In the Fedorov family, you've got the three boys, and then in the Antonov family, there's like seven girls, but like the focus is two of them for a majority. I think the oldest and the youngest for the majority of the story.
Yeah.
And so the oldest siblings from each family many years ago had a relationship, and at one point the dad and the dad proposed marriage to the mom and she turned him down, and that was like the split
The
of their
rift.
like
Yeah.
their families, like we don't interact with each other anymore because he had like his ego was like bruised, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we can, and they're like, no, we can build our empire on our own, like we don't need a
Other
man
ways.
for
Yeah.
it. And so, and it's very it's like Romeo and Juliet-esque. It's witchy, and it's like very mafia-esque because all of their like dealings are in the background, like the dark side of society kind of thing. And so the book opens with I think it's the, I don't remember their names, but the oldest brother and the oldest sister, and she has come to them to have a conversation, and it's revealed that she knows that somebody in their organization has been stealing their product and reselling it at a markup. And she's like, if you tell me who it is, I'll handle it. But the oldest brother, who does, we find out, know who it is, but is protecting this person. And so he ends up, after this encounter, in a coma. And the other two brothers are now bent on revenge, especially the middle brother. And the middle brother, the middle brother sends the youngest brother into like a college bar to kind of build figure out who like their suppliers, the women's family, the suppliers are for their business and their customers and all of that. He ends up running into the youngest sister at this bar. They have a moment and they end up exchanging numbers, and he finds out that she's the youngest sister from this
One
family,
of them.
And so the middle brother is like, you can use this because she doesn't know who he is, but he knows who she is.
Yeah.
And so the middle brother is like, you can use this, you can use her to find out all this information. And it's very like star-crossed lovers. Um, it's I really enjoyed it. I had such a good time with this one. It was a little confusing at first because there's such huge cast, but once I got into it, it's like, okay, this
This is
is
so good.
it's so good, and it's very like I feel like Olivia Blake has a very specific style that she writes, and
Hmm.
this was very much like if I didn't know who wrote this book, I would think it was all Olivia Blake.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I'm an hour away from finishing Finders Keepers by Sarah Adler. Finders Keeper by Sarah Adler. Um I'm 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 really sad that I had to stop so that we could record, but I
I'm
will be finishing
sorry.
it. No, it's not your fault. It's my fault. I should have started it earlier. But I'm really enjoying it. You have I literally have been reading this all day. Why do I not remember names?
Quentin and
Okay.
Nina.
Yes, I was like, hold on. So you have Nina who everything that could go wrong with her life has gone wrong in like the past 3 days, and she is forced to move back home with her parents. She's in her early 30s, so she feels like a failure, and she's like, nothing could be worse than this. Until she finds out that her neighbor, Quentin Bell, who was like her childhood best friend, who completely ghosted her after an incident that happened when they were kids, is also back in town and is also back to living next door. And she's like, well, this couldn't have been worse if I planned it that way. Now, Quentin has decided, he's like, you know what? Remember that treasure hunt that we went on as kids? Nobody's ever found that treasure. Let's do it. Let's find it now in the present day, and we'll get the rewards. And she's like hesitant at first, but she's so desperate to get the money, the prize money for it, that she's like, you know what? Let's do
Fine.
it, because she wants to leave.
Let's do it.
And so it's a treasure hunt, but it's also about them reconnecting and refining, like finding out who they are now, because the last time they talked was nearly 2 decades ago, right? So they're rediscovering each other. They're kind of figuring out what went wrong the last time.
Yeah.
They're, of course, falling in love because it's a romance. And so I'm very excited to see how it ends. I have a sneaking suspicion, but I don't feel confident in how I
Yeah.
feel. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm
You'll have
very
to tell
excited.
us next week if you
It's
were
very good.
right.
But I mean, I've read both of Sarah Adler's other books and I loved them. So I'm feeling the
Yeah.
same way about this one. So yeah.
Yeah.
And that was my week.
Do you have a fictional boyfriend this week?
It's Lucas. Lucas with the last
Yeah.
name I cannot and will not pronounce again.
Bloomquist.
I can't make those letters make that sound.
No, it's
I
QV, everybody.
yeah,
Bloomquist.
yeah, but
I don't know how that rolls off of anybody's tongue, but it ain't gonna be mine.
no, but my God, this man is so like he's so sweet, and he's so just like even upon before we even meet him, right? Like it's so obvious that he's like a complete gentleman. He's like
Yep. A
so
consent king.
respectful, consent king. He's so respectful of women. He is
Yeah.
so in tune with people's feelings and is able to
Yeah.
like adjust his behavior or move people in certain situations to make them feel the most comfortable that they can be. And I just, we love it.
Yeah.
We love that.
Yeah.
So, Lucas, what about you?
Oh, mine is Matthew McFadden's Fitzwilliam Darcy. I don't have to say anymore.
I mean, if
The
you
hand
didn't
flex,
say
the
that,
chest
that would
hair, the
be.
billowing cloak. I mean, what more do you want?
If you did not say that, you were body snatched. Like, for real, for
Yeah,
real.
exactly.
There. Okay, time for an announcement.
Announcement.
Yay! Okay, so next week we are talking to Soraya Wilson. We're going to be talking about two
Two
books.
books.
We're talking about her, it's A Tribute of Fire and A Vow of Embers, I think is the name of the
Yes.
books.
Yes.
The first two books in the Eye of the Goddess series. I believe it's a trilogy, so I think there's a third book. So we're very excited. I can't wait. I've seen Soraya Wilson's name so often, and I somehow have like not read any, like I've
Yeah, not
wanted
read
to
anything
so
yet.
much. And so like I'm really excited. I think I read one short story of hers in like an anthology, so I'm very excited.
Yeah.
So that's next week. Yay!
Yay. And now we can do a spiel, and then I'm gonna
Yes, we
go to
can.
the movies.
Ugh, I'm still that Birch.
I know. The
All
show
right.
husbands of Birch.
All right, friends. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, follow, and subscribe wherever you are listening to us. Follow us on social media. We are at The Incoherent Fangirl on all the things. Visit our website, theincoherentfangirl.com, where you can also stream all of our episodes as well as read our blog. And then head over and subscribe to our Patreon, where you can get early access to podcast episodes, full video episodes, and bonus content, which I have posted a few of recently. So go me. Yay, very
Cute.
exciting. And then once you've done that, you can head over and maybe do some self-care and some shopping at our merch store, theincoherentfangirl.com/shop. Lots of super cute stuff there because sometimes Mandy gets bored with an iPad and we get cute designs out of it. Lucky
Yay.
us. And if you have any comments, questions, concerns, suggestions, design ideas, you just want to tell us that we're pretty, we will
We'll
accept all of
take
that
it.
in our inbox, theincoherentfangirl@gmail.com. We love hearing from y'all. And one last way to support the podcast is to rate and review on whatever platform you're listening to us on. We love words, so give
Give
us all
us
of them.
those words.
Every single one, please. And thank you. She is at Mandy Perv on all the things.
She's at Ms. Made in China on all the things.
And once you followed us on social media and you follow the podcast on social media, you can head over and do some more self care by visiting our internet besties because we love them and we love you and want you to stay well. So,
Yes.
first stop is herecomesthenerd.com. You're going to use code FANGIRL to get 20% off your first order.
Then you're going to head to onceuponabookclub.com. You're going to subscribe. You're going to get some regular stock boxes, any goodies they have. We have two codes to choose from. You cannot stack them, but we don't care which one you use. We love you no matter what. Use either code Karin10 or Mandy10 for 10% off. But if you spell Karen wrong, what are we going to do to you? We're going to make you watch The Girl on Firth, Pride and Prejudice. Yawn. So make sure you spell Karen right, and you'll get 10% off.
Oh man. All right, next up, you're going to head over to our friend Amber D. Lewis at amberdlewis.com. Add 10 of everything to your cart, use code FANGIRL10, and then you'll get 10% off the 10 of everything, which means mathematically you've gotten one of everything for free. That's just how
You
it
go.
works. There you go. You're welcome.
It's just math. And last but not least, you're going to go support the show husband. You can follow at Searchers Believe on all the things. And if you go to searchersbelieve.com/shop, more merch designed by me, 10% off by using Fangirl 10 at checkout. You're going to follow Searchers Podcast on all the things. That's coming back soon. And yours truly is on it. I'm producer Mandy. And then last but not least, you're going to go subscribe to Stream Beacon TV. So you can go to streambeacontv.com, sign up, use code Fangirl10 to get 10% off your subscription. And this is our streaming platform, which is your favorite paranormal, true crime, horror content that has really exciting things coming.
Yes, it
Really, really
does.
exciting things.
Yes, it does.
So,
And
yeah,
that was the
that
Incoherent
was the
Fangirl.
Incoherent Fangirl.
Thanks for
We love
listening. We
you.
love
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
We are sponsored by our friends at Here Comes the Nerd. Pins, stickers, magnets, and more. Here Comes the Nerd has happy art for all fandom-loving hearts. New customers can use coupon code FANGIRL during checkout for 20% off their first order at herecomesthenerd.com. Coupon applies to ready-to-ship items only.